Hello YouTube, today I'm taking a look at the T-Flight 4 HOTAS, which is an improvement or the new and improved version of the T-Flight X HOTAS that I reviewed a couple of years ago. Now I am doing this up in my living room, so you may hear the puppy's paws on the hardwood, and he may interrupt a couple of shots here and there. So I apologize for that. But this is the new and improved version. This is marketed primarily as a PlayStation 4 controller first. It will also work on PC. Now, it is very similar to the T-Flight X HOTAS. A couple of things that I've noticed, I do have it plugged into a PS4 Pro over there, is that while still pretty thin, it doesn't feel near as weak as the T-Flight X HOTAS. The T-Flight X, I could squeeze it, and I'm not the strongest person in the world, and the plastic would actually flex. Like, if I squeezed hard enough on it, I could break the darn thing. And this one is a little bit better. As I said, there might be somebody interrupting this video a little bit, wanting more treats. But this feels a little bit more sturdy. It is still that cheap plastic feel that some people don't like, but if you're looking for a HOTAS controller on the PlayStation platform, it's kind of this or nothing. Now, I did also play with it a little bit on the PC. It still works on the PC. But there are a couple of things here, is that I got the T-Flight X HOTAS, its predecessor, for $20 on sale at Micro Center a few years ago at Christmas time. This now retails for $69.99, or about $75 if you have to pay sales tax, as we do in Missouri now, from Amazon. So, at that price, you're talking about features and functionality on par with the Extreme 3D Dusty Move. With the Extreme 3D Pro, which is the joystick that my dog was blocking the shot of on the right, and you can pick that up at any major electronic retailer for around $20 to $35. In terms of accuracy and precision, they're on par with similar pots. You get the same number of buttons, it's just this is in a little bit different form factors in that HOTAS form factor, but again, $25 versus $70. Now, it does have twist on the stick for yaw if you want. Of course, trigger button here, which feels very weak, flimsy, like that could be the first thing that breaks, to be frankly honest with you. The hat, which also doubles as your D-pad controller on the, if you're going to compare it to a DualShock here. And my biggest complaint with the T-Flight X in this too is it's grooved for the thumb here. I think this button should be over here, or this button should be over here, but it's not. You have basically your fire missiles or fire cannons, fire secondary button, and then of course L1, L3. Now they do have the share options PlayStation button. Again, it is a PlayStation controller first and foremost. R2, L2, the paddle here that can be in axes. And then the throttle. Now, the throttle does have a stop block in the middle of it, which I think for atmospheric flight sim games, or flight games, I should really call it, does come bundled with a War Thunder offer starter pack there. That's good until November of 2017. And War Thunder is the only game that I've played with it on the PlayStation. I've hooked it up and played a little bit of Elite with it on the PC side of things. But to those who are looking at getting this HOTAS for Elite Dangerous when it releases on the PlayStation 4 here this quarter, hopefully, this is a nice feature because you now have null throttle, forward thrust, reverse thrust. In terms of Elite Dangerous on the PlayStation 4, that is a very, very nice feature to have. Now, when it comes to the PC, there's a couple of things. One, like its predecessor, it has a fixed cord between the throttle and the base, and it doesn't get any longer, and there's no way to extend it. Now, one of the things I did have to do in order to extend the joystick to my couch is get a USB extension cable. I think this is a 2 or 3 footer. You can buy those for a couple of dollars off Amazon. We have a few lying around the house. So I needed to do that, but that's my situation thing of the distance from the entertainment center and where the PlayStation is. In fact, if the PlayStation was in one of these other cubbies where the Xbox is now, it probably would have reached over to the couch. So, a couple of things to note there, and this is one of my biggest problems that I had, is that separation. If you're much larger than I am, and I'm about 5'6", 170 pounds, if you're much bigger than I am, that's not a lot for separation. Now, one of the things you can do And a couple of things I'll point out here. It has an Allen wrench. You can take these, loosen those up, and then attach it on the base of the throttle, and essentially combine these into one controller that could then possibly sit in your lap. Personally, I think that kind of feels awkward, but that it's an option depending on how you want to play. Now, the probably biggest feature that is over the T-Flight X is the inclusion of this RJ12 port. And one other thing to point out here, the tension on the stick itself is adjustable. Not on the throttle, but on the stick you can make this looser or tighter to fit your needs, your style, which is a nice to have. But this RJ12 allows you to plug in the T-Flight rudder pedals. Now, these are sold separately, $70, $80, or maybe it's $80 or $90, depending if you can find it on sale. Now, I already had them from reviewing them last year, and with the T16000 flight control system, but you can simply plug this in like so, and now you can use the T-Flight rudder pedals, and you do have a literal full HOTAS solution with rudder pedals for the PlayStation 4, which is neat. This isn't something you can get on the Xbox. The other factor here is there's not a whole lot of games that can adequately support rudder pedals, flight, and throttle and flight stick. Currently, the only game I have available is War Thunder, which War Thunder is a game that I absolutely hated on the PC, or at least in arcade mode, because of the way that they did their flight model that highly favored mouse and keyboard over joystick pilots. Here, with most other people using a DualShock controller, I found myself to be very much on par with them, if not a little bit having a little bit of an advantage, even in arcade mode, flying in the cockpit, to the point where, with this HOTAS setup, I enjoy War Thunder on PlayStation 4, actually, far more than I did on the PC. I can't fly a flight game with a control, really with a controller, and especially not mouse and keyboard. Flying a flight game with a mouse and keyboard is sacrilege as far as I'm concerned. So that is one nice thing. Now, this total setup is going to run you about $160, $150, $160, depending on if you find things on sale. And if you're seriously into flight games and you're thinking about getting Elite Dangerous on the PlayStation 4, maybe you don't have a PC rig or something like that, worthy of considering. Since I already had the stuff from reviewing, yeah, I think I may end up getting Elite Dangerous on the PlayStation 4. I was kind of going back and forth about that. But this will suit my needs on there just fine, and even though it's a different HOTAS layout, I'm still flying with a HOTAS versus a controller, which again, flight games on a controller, if I had to fly Elite Dangerous with this, I would probably not be picking it up on the PlayStation 4, but with this setup, yeah, I think that's certainly doable. Now, again, outside of Elite Dangerous that's coming out, War Thunder that's out, I think Ace Combat supports this HOTAS. There's only a very limited selection of games out there for the PlayStation 4, and then if you're looking at the PC side of things, I think you're better off to spend an extra $40 and get the T16000 FCS, especially when it's on sale for $105. Or if you're looking for something with the equivalent accuracy and precision, going with a $25 Extreme 3D Pro and a keyboard is just as good of a solution, frankly. And I still use my Extreme 3D Pro 5 years later with my Macintosh when, ironically, I play Elite Dangerous, like doing exploration and stuff like that on my Mac, which is under the clean Xboxes. So this is one of those things that, if you're going to be playing it on the PlayStation, if you're into War Thunder big time and on the PlayStation platform, it's worth looking at. $69.99 for the PC. I think that's a little pricey. If it ever goes on sale below $50, like the T-Flight X did at $45, and even then I was able to get it as low as $20. Okay, then you're talking a pretty decent, a good enough buy that I could say, hey, if you had your choice between a Extreme 3D Pro and a T-Flight 4 at the same price point, half a dozen of one, six of the others. It's whichever form factor you prefer. If you'd prefer to have the throttle as a separate unit here, get the T-Flight HOTAS 4. If you don't care that much, Extreme 3D Pro, same difference as far as I'm concerned. But again, that's kind of my opinion on these things, and I've logged a lot of hours with a lot of different gear in many different flight games. And again, if you're a PlayStation player, the other problem that, again, I have, and this is unique to my situation, that's the dog's territory. And since this is a cord, if you have kids or animals running around and you're playing on your PlayStation and you're on the couch, as he's just kind of, I think, wanting me to play instead of, well, I guess he's going back to sleep again. At any rate, playing on the couch, and, it's a trip hazard this far extended and things like that. And the dog has tripped over it and knocked it out and stuff like that. So keep that in mind. A few things to consider based on your situation. Now, if you can sit closer to the TV, in a office chair or comfy chair or something like that, and have your HOTAS, say if I really could use that chair and put the HOTAS on one arm and the throttle on one hand, or the throttle on the other, and be only 3 feet away, maybe that's a much less of an issue. But the cord length for the stick to the unit, at least, is fairly significant. I think it's 6 or 7 feet, and that's a pretty good distance. Again, still needed a 3-foot extender. It's just the cord between these are permanently connected. You can't, unless you're handy dandy with some wire snips and can and rewire some things. That's as far apart as they're going to go, and that, well, let's just see if it will. I haven't tried this yet. Let me disconnect the. See, that doesn't even reach. Nope. That doesn't even reach across the arms of my comfy chair here. So that's one of the biggest negatives about this particular HOTAS. It won't reach the arms of your typical lazy boy comfy chair. So something to keep in mind. I really wish that they would have given this about an extra 6 inches. I think that's about all that it would have been required to give you a little bit more flexibility there. The only option I would have would be to essentially combine them and put them on my lap, and that just kind of feels awkward to me personally, but maybe to you it's not such a big deal. So anyway, that's my quick review of the T-Flight 4 HOTAS. I'll also mention that I've only had 3 or 4 hours playing with it between, 3 or 4 hours in War Thunder, a couple of hours in Elite Dangerous on the PC. So things to keep in mind there. Thank you very much for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, all of that fun stuff. And I will see you next time.